It is super special. Tomorrow night is a very momentous holiday. A big celebration. It's called Lag BaOmer. One of the probably least known holidays in the Jewish calendar. And what are we celebrating? The great sage, the great scholar, Rabbi Akiva, had 24,000 students who tragically perished in a plague, in a terrible malady and illness. And they were gone, decimated. So they stopped dying on this day, and that's why there's a holiday. And the question begs, is that a reason to celebrate? We should mourn. There was no one left. Why are we happy? Why are we festive? It's depressing, it's sad. We should be grieving and mourning. So there's a few answers. The Ramami Pano says that Rabbi Akiva himself was supposed to die, and he was spared. And that's why we celebrate. Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky says that there were additional students that were unaccounted for, and they didn't die, and that's why we celebrate. But listen to the answer from the Pri Chadash, which is so empowering and so inspiring. He says that the reason why we're celebrating, he disagrees with the aforementioned answers. Rabbi Akiva was not supposed to die. There were no students left. So why are we celebrating? Because Rabbi Akiva could have been immobilized. He could have been paralyzed. He could have been debilitated. He could have been totally devastated and crippled. But instead, on this day, Lag BaOmer, he decided to rebuild. He decided to persevere. And he found 5 new students, and from that, he was able to construct an entire universe. And therefore, this holiday is a holiday of renewal, of rebuilding, of persevering. And Rabbi Gedalia Shor said so eloquently and so beautifully that the power exists even today, thousands of years later in the day, that no matter what happened in your life, no matter what tragedy, God forbid, you suffered, no matter what struggle or challenge or vicissitude or tribulation you find yourself in, tomorrow night and Thursday is the time to tap into that ability to create yourself anew, to rebuild, to persevere, and to have new faith and hope. So we have tonight with us an amazing bastion of Emunah, a repository, a fountain of faith. I'm going to leave it to our next speaker to introduce our great rabbi and speaker that came. Without further ado, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce you, just for a few words, to Rabbi, who's our partner from Chazaq, who's going to share a few words. Thank you all. Thank you. And don't forget, tomorrow night and Thursday is your opportunity to renew.
Big round of applause for Rabbi Finger, Rabbi Moshe Finger, Rabbi Yitzhak Finger for their tremendous work. We'd like to thank all the partnering organizations, Chazaq, BJX, of course, David Baturo from Torah Life, and Emunah Beams, the Rav's organization. This series of the Rabbi Brody's going around is L'Zecha Nishmas, Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein, Zecher Tzaddik Levracha. I think it's not only it's so special that this entire series is in memory of Rabbi Wallerstein, but also right here in Flatbush, where he built Ornava and so many tremendous institutions. I think it's a tremendous zchus for the Neshama. And we have Rabbi Brody just came with a new book. It's called Divine Direction. It's going to be available for purchase after the shir in the back, and all the svarim, all the books that are purchased tonight. The Rav will gladly we'll give you a personal letter, and he'll sign it. It'll be a tremendous honor. All the small books are $12 each, 2 for $20. All the larger books are $22 or 2 for $40. Obviously, purchase for yourself and for your friends and family. And it'll be a tremendous uplifting, especially during Sfira and Shavuos. And obviously we know the tremendous work of BJX, college outreach, community outreach in Brooklyn and far and beyond. And as we know, the Chazaq organization organizes events like tonight in different communities and inspires so many people. In the last 5 years, helped over 1,200 children transfer public school yeshiva. And it's a tremendous honor to work all these organizations working under one umbrella, under one roof, to spread Torah and do amazing things. It's a great, great schluss to call upon Rabbi Lazer Brody sleep.
Shem Hashem, B'ezrat Hashem. Can everyone hear okay? In the back, you can hear okay? Whenever I get hooked up with the wires, I feel like a suicide bomber. But it's not chas v'sholem. What would do suicide is whenever I speak, the Yetzer Hara wants to commit suicide. Because it's evil inclination. He's willing to do everything. I could talk and talk Torah and talk Gemara, but don't talk Emunah. Don't talk Emunah. Because talk Emunah, teach people about Hashem. Teach they get close to Hashem. What is Emunah? People say faith, belief. No, neither. Emunah is your own personal connection with Hashem. No matter who you are, your father doesn't have to be a Rosh Yeshiva, and your father doesn't have to be a Rebbe. Your father could be a coal miner in West Virginia or a corn farmer in South Dakota, and your father doesn't even have to be Jewish. We have two. We have people I go around the world, and at least 35% of my audience is around the world. They're not Jewish at all. But they found out, guess what? There's an Almighty in heaven that anybody can talk to him 24/7, whatever you want. And wait a second, this is something this Israeli Rabbi Lazer Brody writes about in his books. That's not what their minister told him. The minister says, you got to go like a monopoly. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. You got to go through them. You don't have to go through them. You go straight to the man. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And that's Emunah under fire. And there's no such thing. I could tell you a little bit about after 29 years and 3 months and 12 days and 3 hours in the IDF. I can tell you a little bit about combat and a little bit about wars. But there's no such thing. Every single man in Flatbush and every single woman, Flatbush, Brooklyn, United States, they're combat soldiers. Why? Because life is hand-to-hand combat with the evil inclination that wants to keep you away from Hashem. An evil inclination wants to keep you depressed. And what's depressed? If I ask you what your worst inclination is, ask the guys, and they'd answer, they'd say, no, we can't answer in a mixed crowd because it's X-rated. And if I ask a woman, what's your worst inclination? They would say, maybe not like the guys, but similar. No. You don't know yourself. I'll tell you what your worst evil inclination is. Your worst evil inclination is when you look in the mirror and you say, I'm not good enough. The guys look in the mirror and says, oh, my buddy made a startup company and made millions of dollars, and I'm a regular, I sell insurance, I work at a shoe store, I do this, do that. And women look and say, oh, my girlfriend, she's Miss Jewish America of the Year, and she has 8 kids, and she's principal of Beis Yaakov, and who am I? I could barely make a kartoffel kigel without burning. No. Do you know what it means? And if you had your own relationship with Hashem, not frum, I hate the word frum. Frum in Yiddish means religious, observant. Okay, let's try something. I want you to say the word frum and smile. Frum. Go ahead. You can't do it. Hey, you smile, you can't say frum. If you say frum, you can't smile. Because that is not what Yiddishkeit is about. Judaism says what? We have the terrible 98 curses in the Torah. And it's twice in the Torah, in Parshat Bechukotai and Parshat Kitavo. And of the 98 curses, and the Torah says, why all these curses? What do we do wrong? Heaven forbid. It's a golden calf? No, not because of the golden calf. It says spies, not because it says spies. Jews did something. The Torah gives the answer. Why a Jew has problem. Tachat asher lo avat Hashem lokecha b'simcha. Because you didn't serve Hashem with joy. You know how many people you walk down the street in Flatbush? There's so many Jews. Keep on his head, guy with tzitzis. You keep on your head, you got tzitzis. You put on tefillin this morning. That tefillin, you're not happy. You put on tefillin. You lit Shabbos candles and you're not happy. What would you do if you're a prisoner of war, a Ukrainian soldier got captured by the Russians, Ukrainian Jewish soldier, and now they take your tefillin away? You can't put on tefillin. How'd you feel? You can't put on tefillin. How'd you feel? Or if somebody threw you in jail and you couldn't go to Minyan this morning, How would you feel if Shabbos came in, you couldn't light Shabbos candles? So now that you did put on tefillin, you did light Shabbos candles, how come you're not smiling? How come you're not happy? That is what the Torah says, but Hashem gives us wonderful mitzvahs. Let me tell you something about what it means to be happy, what it means to appreciate yourself. And just the word Emunah. The word Emunah. You don't need to know the word Emunah, and just know, don't forget the definition. It's your own personal relationship with Hashem. Our lesson tonight, and my whole tour this time around, that goes from New York, and then it goes to Lakewood and Baltimore and Miami and Houston and Mexico City and LA. It's called the Going Higher Tour, because of course you connect to Hashem, you go higher. And it's all in blessed memory of Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein. Well, we're here, our hosts are Cure of Giants, Reb Moshe and BJX. And I don't know if you can say about Chazaq. Chazaq, they're the big man on the campus when it comes to Jewish outreach and Torah Anytime. And if we add to that, Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein, who was a one-man revolution in Jewish world, we were best friends. And heard all of a sudden that age 64, Rabbi Zechariah left the world devastated. I brought him out to Eretz Yisrael, and I had the privilege of eulogizing him. We were very close. I didn't even go when I get too emotional. But I'm going to tell you a story. It's a Lazer story that Rabbi Zechariah, we used to change stories. And he would tell my stories better than I would tell them. But this is one story. And you can see that Emunah is eye level for every human being. And as soon as we have Emunah, we're happy. And as soon as we're happy, we get close to Hashem. And as soon as we get close to Hashem, you know what Hashem does? Hashem lets us fulfill our potential to the hilt. Because Hashem you think you're not good enough, right? You think you're not good enough. You look in the mirror, you're not good enough. People are always down on themselves. That's why there's so much clinical depression in the United States. You're not good enough because you're not connected to Hashem. You know what it means when you think you're not good enough? You're saying that the Creator is imperfect. Now, if I would ask someone to come in, I'm maybe one of the few rabbis in the world that's ex-combat. I'm also a certified physical trainer, fitness trainer, and nutritionist. So let's say I would take off my jacket and we're going to talk fitness. And I need a volunteer. Come up and do Simon Says, do calisthenics. And you can say, wouldn't be embarrassed, get up in front of all you wonderful people and do something. I said, well, what about if I slip you two $100 notes to come and exhibit? Oh, that's already something. Okay, that's already worth it. That's food for Shabbos. You know, you wouldn't want to do something without a reason. If you don't do something without a reason, why do you think that the Almighty, why do you think Hashem does things without reason? If you think you're not good enough, you're saying that I'm superfluous. I'm a needless creation in the world. That can't be. You know what it means that you're alive? Stop to think. There's something you never thought about yourself. I promise you, Hashem does not do anything without a purpose. Nothing. There's so much I want to share with you. Just to catch up on a couple stories I promised to tell you. King David did not know. King David wrote Perek Shira. King David knew all the secrets of creation. King David knew the language of a tree, the language of a bird, the language of the animals. King David did not understand why Hashem created black widow spiders. Hashem, what do you need pointed spiders for? For what? For what? Okay. So a little voice in heaven came, David, wait and see. David, my son, wait and see. King David's father-in-law, King Saul, was very jealous of him. And he chased him back and forth around the Judean desert with his lieutenants trying to kill King David, want to kill his son-in-law. Well, one day, King Saul's soldiers were in hot pursuit of David, and David was running away on foot in the Judean desert, and he came into a cul-de-sac. A cul-de-sac is a cavern, a dead end in the desert, nowhere to go. And the words is coming in, there's one way in and no way out. And he looked, if he had a watch on, a psycho stopwatch, he'd say 90 seconds life expectancy. That's all. He's not going to live more than that. They're going to catch him, and it's going to be bye-bye David. What did Hashem do? Hashem gave him the mouth of a cave. And he had took a chance. He went inside a cave. What did Hashem do? Hashem sent a black widow spider. And in 30 seconds, that black widow spider miraculously wove a web that would have taken a spider 6 months to do. So King Saul's soldiers that came in, all of a sudden there's no David. Where'd he go? It's a sheer wall, a cul-de-sac, it's a cliff and a wall. You can't climb this sheer rock wall. And there's a cave. Oh, he's got to be in the cave. So they went in the cave. Oh, they came back. There's a great, big, black widow spider with this white dot. It's known, the Israeli black widows, they're very poisonous. And they saw they came back. You can't be in there because it's completely covered with a spider net. And the black widow spider right in the middle of her net. So they went. Oh, they didn't know what happened. He disappeared. Thin air. They didn't know. They left. When the spider heard the horse hoofs in the distance going away, the spider, like packing up her suitcase, she packed up the web and crawled away. King David came out of the cave and he heard a voice from Shemaim, he heard a voice from heaven. Any more questions, my son? Any more questions? Hashem showed King David that the most illogical, inexplicable, dangerous, poisonous creature on earth had a reason. It saved his life. You think that? And one said, okay, it's a nice story, this and that. Oh, Lazer, you think it's a nice story? People are angry at mosquitoes. Do you like when a mosquito bites you? I don't like when a mosquito bites me, but I'm happy about it. I don't like it, but I'm happy about it. You know, mosquitoes saved my life. It wasn't one mosquito, it was about 1,000 mosquitoes. In the First Lebanon War, this is right before I made tshuva, and this is something worse happened to me afterward, but we were on the way to Beirut, and there was 6 days of fighting, and we fought for 6 days with no rest. See how you feel with one night with no rest, but on your feet, 6 days in combat with no rest, that's it. There was a ceasefire on Friday morning, and we plotzed. Well, as a platoon sergeant, took 4 soldiers, and each one of us were to take turns guarding 12 guys. Okay, there's going to be 3 groups of 3 guys, and they're going to sleep, and they're going to sleep, they're going to sleep. The whole time one group is going to guard. Well, nobody could stay up. Our heads just hit the ground. It was on my watch as the duty sergeant's platoon sergeant, and my eyes felt like lead. I could not keep my eyes open. Now, it's a ceasefire. One of the shortest things on earth is a ceasefire with the Arabs. That's yeah, okay. And it's easy for them to ceasefires because they make ceasefires one after the other. This was in a Lebanese town called Jabjanin, the great Sultan Yaakov, right where Lebanon, Israel, and Syria come together. Very, very, very dangerous. In the old 70s, they used to call it Fatahlan. It's a very, very dangerous area. And my head just hit the ground. I was out like a light. I was sleeping on watch. Just physically could not stay up. Tried my best. What did Hashem do? Hashem didn't send one mosquitoes. Hashem sent swarms of mosquitoes. I get bitten in the eyes, bitten in the ears, bitten in the mouth, bitten in the nose. It went all over. And I slapping myself until I woke up. And I woke up and there was a rustling in the bushes. And instinctively, it was a Browning 03 machine gun that had there. Boom, just sat on the trigger. And it let go about 300 rounds right there. Well, the gunfire, and my buddies, they woke up. And everybody woke up right away. You hear gunfire, it's instinctively. In our unit, gunfire, that's it. Go in the bushes. And there's 3 dead Syrian soldiers with RPGs. In another 5 seconds, they would put a Russian shoulder missile right in our placement, and it would be nothing to the 12 of us left. Hashem sent mosquitoes all the time. When I get bit by a mosquito, I say, thank you, Hashem. Remind Hashem, thank you, Hashem, thank you, Hashem, thank you, Hashem. The Gemara says that every creation on earth is a messenger of Hashem. That's why you have to love all of creation. And King David knew the secrets of all of creation. Now, love every creation and love everyone in it. Anything that happens to us is a message from Hashem, from Emunah. What happens? Okay, can you think if I tell you about 3 Jewish boys that go drink beer in a bar in Alabama on the way to Mardi Gras, has nothing to do with Yiddishkeit, nothing to do with Judaism, nothing to do with anything, the opposite of holiness, and they learn Emunah. I have a friend who's the head of Eshet Torah in Cleveland, Rabbi Chaim Feld. Rabbi Chaim Feld teaches a course, Judaism 101 in Case Reserve University. So he went in, and first day, Case Reserve, it's in Cleveland, and quite a few Jewish kids, and not many non-Jewish people sign up for Judaism 101. So he asked them on the very first day, who knows what the word Emunah means? One guy puts up his hand and says, I do. He says, what's Emunah mean? He says, that's the full and complete faith in God. Huh? Rabbi Feld says, that's the exact definition in Garden Emunah. Where'd you learn that? He says, I never read the Garden Emunah. He said, where'd you learn the definition? He says, Rabbi, you're not going to believe me. Okay, this is a Lazer story because the waitress you're about to hear about, she was in contact with me, non-Jewish waitress. And this is a story that Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein would love to tell. Okay, so I'm going to tell it. I wish I could do Rabbi Wallerstein's Brooklynese accent. I loved it. Okay, he told the story. He told the story to his girls at Ornava. I said, so the guys, there are these 3 Cleveland University guys, Case Reserve, and they decided semester break, winter break, they want to have a good time. So what do you have a good time? They're going to take the car and they drive down to New Orleans in the Mardi Gras. And they party and drink beer, and they have these hurricanes of everything walks in the street. And these big cocktails are called hurricanes. They're tremendous because your cup feels like a hurricane afterwards. You know, the guy's got a storm in his head. So they're going the way down. So they're driving through to get from Cleveland to New Orleans. You have to drive through Alabama, then Mississippi, then you get to Louisiana, New Orleans. So you drive through Alabama and they're thirsty and they pull up at a bar, have a beer. Okay, so they come to this bar and they sit down at a table, and the waitress comes up to them, and the waitress says, yeah, well, what are you boys having? She says, so we have 3 beers. Give it 3 schooners beer. Okay, so she brings in the beer, and she puts out, she's got this short sleeve blouse on, and she serves them the beer, and they see this tattoo on her forearm. Emunah. It's red, white, and blue letters. Emunah. And one of the guys says, hey, what's that neat tattoo you got? And she looks at him, and he was wearing a Jewish star. Okay, boy, but he knows he's Jewish, and he likes the state of Israel, and he wears a Jewish star. It's a statement for him. So he says, are you Jewish? Waitress says to him, he says, yeah. And you don't know what Emunah means? He said, no. And she tells him, it is the full and simple belief in the Creator. He said, well, where do you know that? Where do they talk about that in Alabama? She says, well, you're not going to believe my story. Okay, this is a story Reb Chaim Feld, he didn't know. He knew this boys learned Emunah in a bar in Alabama. But this is a story I heard from the waitress. Look at Hashem, these things in unbelievable divine direction. Divine direction, Hashem directs the world. It just didn't, people think that Hashem created the world and went on retirement. Hashem is not playing golf in Las Vegas or in Palm Springs. Hashem is not retired. Hashem is right away deciding what our diastolic and systolic blood pressure is. Hashem is deciding what cell that we ate in dinner has become protein cell, and what cell we're going to say a blessing Asher Yotzer on. Hashem is deciding every little decision going on. Every little thing. From every level of creation, from the mineral, the plant, the animal, and man. So she tells them the story. And this Rebbe Zachariah is continuing. She says, you know, I had this boyfriend, and his boyfriend was full of money and had his big old Oldsmobile, and he was going to build me a mansion up on a hill, and I wasn't going to have to serve beers anymore in a bar, and people do all kinds of stuff with me, and they pinch me, and they make snide comments, and I was going to be a lady, and my boyfriend was a lawyer, a big lawyer in Birmingham, and he was going to marry me and build me a house and buy me a fancy car. And in one day, with nothing, my boyfriend up and left me. This is Reb Zachariah telling the story. My boyfriend up and left me. And I was devastated. So she comes to work, and the owner of this bar, a Jewish guy. And the owner of this bar, the Jewish guy, he happened to have a copy of the Garden of Emunah. Okay, so he read the Garden of Emunah. He had the card, and he sees his waitress. She comes in, and she's heartbroken. She says, "Mary Lou, what's the matter with you?" And she says to Jonathan, that's the name of the boss, the owner of the bar, "Jonathan, my boyfriend left me." She cried, and he promised to marry me, and he made this promise and that promise. He said, "Mary Lou, take this book home. I'm going to lend you my book. I want you to read it." Okay? So she read the book. She read the Garden of Emunah like her boss asked her to. And she came back. She gave the boss back the book. She says, how could, that book says that everything the Almighty does is for the best. Everything's for him for the best. How can it be the best? What's the best? My boyfriend left me and broke my heart. And what's good about that? She couldn't accept it. That evening, she went home from work, and her girlfriend, Sue Ellen, called her. Says, "Mary Lou, did you see the Gazette?" The Gazette, that's the Birmingham Gazette. "Your boyfriend's on the front page of the Gazette." "My own boyfriend?" "Yeah. He's no lawyer. He's a pusher. He got busted with 10 kilos of cocaine in his trunk. He's going to sit for a long time in the slammer." I said, "What? Show me that paper." She came over right to the house, showed the paper. "Yeah, that's her boyfriend. He was no lawyer. He's a drug pusher. Drug pusher." And the cops got up with him, and he busted. And she stopped thinking, wow, if that would have happened a couple of weeks later, and I'd have married this guy, I'd have been married to a convict and nothing, and then she went back, and she went to, "Jonathan, give me that book again." She went and read the book again, and she says, "It's the gospel truth. It's it." So what she did, yes, the Almighty, everything he does is good. Yes, that Emunah is the real deal. So she went to the tattoo guy in a town in Selma, Alabama, and she says, "Give me a tattoo." "What tattoo would you like, young lady?" "Emunah. Emunah." Look what Hashem does, so that three guys that never knew anything, they don't know the difference between Shabbat and a bagel, in Cleveland, they know they're Jewish, their mother and father are Jewish. Hashem takes them down on a Mardi Gras trip through Alabama to meet a non-Jewish waitress to teach them what the word Emunah means. Hashem saves a mosquito or a black widow spider to save life. And wait, that's not it. We talk about Rabbi Zachariah and I used to change Emunah stories, the tattoo stories. He had more tattoo stories. We had other tattoo stories. I'll tell you another tattoo story. This is a really bittersweet tattoo story. One year, when I was in Uman for Rosh Hashanah, this talk a long time ago, before Uman had thousands of people there, when it had hundreds of people there. I was in Uman for Rosh Hashanah, and it was 2 days before Rosh Hashanah, and the mikveh was brand new there. It was about 2:30 in the morning, and I thought it was alone, but then heard something else. There was another guy, a new Baal Tshuva. Didn't know what a Baal Tshuva is. A Baal Tshuva is a newly observant Jew. He's discovered his Judaism. He's discovered his faith. And a guy from Mea Shearim, a chassid from Yerushalayim. And after I dunked in the mikveh, I was on the side. Nobody saw me. I was dressing. And these two guys were in the mikveh. So I hear this guy, this Israeli Baal Tshuva, he's got tattoos from head to toe. He did not have a square inch of his body that didn't have tattoos on him. He's in the mikveh. Okay, so this chassid from Mea Shearim, and he says to him, he says, "Aren't you ashamed? How do you dare go into Rabbi Nachman's mikveh and you've got these tattoos?" I said, "Go get rid of those tattoos." He doesn't know anything about a tattoo, but it's very painful, skin graft, and it's not so easy to erase a tattoo. So the young BT, he was confident, BT Baal Tshuva, the young BT was confident in what he's doing, and he looks this Mea Shearim guy in the face, and he says, "I'm not going to erase my tattoos." He says, "What do you mean? That's even bigger chutzpah. Don't you know the tattoo is forbidden by Torah?" He says, "I didn't know anything about Torah when I got those tattoos. But I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Religious Person. When I get up," he says, "when you get up to Shemayim, they're going to throw the book at you." He says, "No, they won't. When I get up in Shemayim, I want to show them what I sacrificed to come close to Hashem. The world where Hashem picked me up and to say thank you to Hashem. That's what I want to see. This is where I come from. These are my battle scars. His battle scars from the non-religious world, when there was no Hashem to protect him." Then the religious guy huffed away. And the Baal Tshuva was left himself and took a look at him. He had this tear in his eye. So there was a fourth person in the mikveh I didn't know about. But he came up to the Baal Tshuva and he held up his arm. And on his arm, it had a triangle and 5 numbers and a letter on the right arm. And he said to the young Baal Tshuva, this is the difference between understanding a caring person and a non-caring person. He says, you know, you're right. When I get up to Shemayim, I'm not going to erase my tattoo either, because I want to show Hashem where He took me from. Anybody that grows up in a place far from Emunah, not far from Yiddishkeit, not far from Puhat, far from Emunah, is a Holocaust survivor. Because you can't get through life without Emunah. And there are people that think you could get through life without Emunah, because Emunah is a battle. It is a war. And if you don't have Emunah, you have no weapons. And people say to me, I can't tell you how many parents from New York area, and I'm talking about Williamsburg and Borough Park and Flatbush, Rav Lazer, what do I do about my off the derech child? And you know what I tell them to do? You pray for your child. You learn Emunah. What do you mean learn Emunah? I'm not off the derech. My kid's off the derech. And I said, my cherished sister, my cherished brother, you were never on the derech. Excuse me, I don't mean to be insulting. But yeah, you went to yeshiva, you went to cheder. In cheder, nobody ever taught you about Emunah. You went to yeshiva katana, you went to junior high school yeshiva, nobody ever told you about Emunah. You went to yeshiva gedola, oh, you learned Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, nobody ever taught you about Emunah. You went to kollel, certainly in kollel you never heard about Emunah. When you have Emunah and you learn Emunah, it comes into your DNA. You don't have to tell your kids a thing. The best way to raise kids is by parental example. And you can have one expression. If you live it, you can give it. If you don't live it, you can't give it. If somebody wants to borrow $100 from you and you don't have $100 in your pocket, sorry, you can't give it. You can't give what you don't have. But if you have that, you can certainly give it. This is why we need Emunah. We need Emunah for ourselves, for a smile on our face. Now, I'll tell you why. People come to the Shabbat table, and what? They said, kids, you got to sit like little British soldiers. They're, you know, Westminster Abbey, like they're guarding the Queen. Don't move a muscle. Don't. That's not. Shabbos table is joy. Kids want joy. Kids don't need more discipline. They get yelled at all the time. The teachers, the principal threaten. Kids want joy. Kids go to where the light is. Light, Emunah is light. Joy is light. Emunah is joy. They're synonymous. Because if you don't have Emunah, you can't have joy. And if you have Emunah, you're happy. Because the definition, another definition of Emunah, is a person who is happy with his or her lot in life. Sameach b'chalko. That's not my words. Words of Pirkei Avos. We read every Shabbat in the summer. Happy with your lot in life. You know what it means when you're happy with your lot in life? It means I like the way Hashem runs the world. If Hashem gives me X amount of money a month, that's good for me. And if Hashem gives me Y amount of money, that's good. But people want more money, more fame, more this, more that. How come we don't want more Emunah? How come we don't want to be closer to Hashem? And that's why King Solomon says, King Solomon is the greatest psychotherapist that ever lived, knows more about the neshama than anyone ever lived. King Solomon. And King Solomon says, HaNefesh lo timale. You cannot satiate the soul. And King Solomon was talking about material things. Can't they? Person has fame, wants more fame. Person has money, wants more money. Person has a house, okay, you saved up and you bought yourself a great big house in Great Neck, and it's got a swimming pool, and it's got a tennis court, and you're happy until your competitor gets a bigger house in Great Neck with a bigger swimming pool and a tennis court and a couple of other amenities and this and that. Or a guy buys himself a brand new Volvo, he's so happy, and his competitor buys a brand new Maserati. Women go and they did like a fashion show that they go with it, so much gold. I say, you know, the women are in fantastic shape. They get to biceps and forearms. They walk around. The guys that they want to develop their forearms, they wear weights on your forearms. They get all this weights weighted down with all this gold. How the husbands are mortgaged to buy all the gold. Why need gold? Because the neighbors got that. She can't go to an affair and have less gold than the neighbors do. And the price of sheitlach, I heard what New York sheitlach go for. Did somebody exaggerate by telling me $12,000? They hit $12,000? You don't have to, but they hit $12,000?
Yes.
Huh? Less? With the new thing, the natural hair, with the natural part, with the natural thing? How much? $9,000 bucks. $9,000. A koilel family in Eretz Yisrael, the guy could study Torah for 4 months for that kind of money. 4 months. Now, why keep it? The sheitel used to be $500, $600. I don't know. But the whole thing, and the thing with the guys too. The guys in the Hasidic world is terrible. Back home in Eretz Yisrael, today the Streimelach are bigger than the Spudiks. They're crazy. And they have this mode with the coin. Okay, that looks like I can't stand it. I can't stand it. My kids say, Tati, why don't you get something like that? Are you kidding? I said, I'm not afraid of anybody. It looks like somebody saw with the new Streimel, he saw a ghost and his hair standing up. His Streimel standing up. What? It's not like that. So they told the Saran Rabbi, the Rebbe told the Saran, he decided this month that he's going to change everything. And he told us, Hasidim, we're going to go back to the Baal Shem Tov Steinlach, 13 centimeters, no more. And that's it. No more crown, no more this, no more, they get higher and higher and higher. But instead of the Streimel getting higher and higher and higher, how come I'm not getting higher and higher and higher and higher and getting closer to Shem? Get close to Shem to need more Emunah. How do I get more Emunah? It's Emunah under fire. Did you ever see anyone build muscle by watching a football game on TV and drinking Coke and potato chips? Have you ever seen a well-developed couch potato? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Okay. And women are jealous of this young girl. She's got, a woman in Eretz Yisrael in Ramat Beit Shemesh. There's a woman. She's got 6 kids and she runs the marathon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And people are jealous of her size 4. Size 4. Mama, 6 kids, size 4. Okay, if you ran as many miles a day as she did, you'd be a size 4 too. You can eat all day long, eat all night long, but you're running 20 miles a day, you could be a size 4. And the same thing with Emunah. You don't get Emunah from eating chocolate ice cream. That's it. You get Emunah from difficulty. This is a muscle. The neshama is like a spiritual muscle. And Hashem knows that we can only get close to Him by being challenged. And that's why Hashem gives us challenges. And this keeps us happy. Because when a person doesn't look at life through eyes of Emunah, Hashem thinks, Hashem hates me. Chas v'sholom. Chas v'sholom. Hashem hates me. Oh, yeah? Yeah, Hashem doesn't need this, that. Hashem's got plenty of kids. He doesn't need me. Oh, yeah? I'll go back a war, not from 1982. 1982, when I came out of Beirut Live, that's when I made tshuva. Go back to 1973, the Yom Kippur War. And I should have made tshuva. I didn't have the brain back then. Hashem had to give me a bigger wake-up call. But where I was in the Golan, it was really nasty up there. It was really nasty, and a lot of people thought that this was the end of Israel, 1973. 1973, and I was an American guy that came to Eretz Yisrael in 1970, and I was called a Chayal Boded, a lone Israeli soldier from America. And one of the guys in my unit, a Moroccan guy from Tiberias, he and his family, they adopted me. And I would go home. I was in a kibbutz in the Negev, in Sde Boker, and it was difficult to get from the Golan and the Lebanese border. I was serving up north. My unit served up north. To go all the way back down there. So I would maybe go back to the kibbutz once a month, and the rest. If I had a short weekend, I'd go with my buddy Yoram, go to Tiberias. Well, in the fighting, Yoram got killed. A lot of guys. Not everybody came home. And there was a ceasefire, and it was the last day of the Shiva house. And my commander and I said, we're going to Tiberias. Israel, to go from the fighting and the border, it's 45 minutes to go into the country. It's different scape. It's not like America and Vietnam, America and Iraq. No, with us, it's our backyard. Everywhere in the backyard. Where I live, in proximity to Gaza, is closer, much closer than when you live to Kennedy Airport. Much faster. I could be in Gaza if there's no traffic in 18 minutes. Okay, and it takes a Katyusha rocket from Gaza to reach my house, heaven forbid, in 32 seconds. Okay, so when the alarm gets out, we'd hear the alarm, and you got 32 seconds to find safety. All right, 32 seconds to find safety. That's no. But back to Various story. So we went to the Buzaglo family. That's a Moroccan Jewish family, wonderful family. And Yoram's parents had 10 sons. He had 10 sons. So went the last day of the Shiva house, and I asked Mr. Buzaglo if I could go in, and I called his mother Mama, because she was like an adopted mother for me. If I could be in Menachem Ovel, and we were caked with mud and coming right from the front. And he said, yes. I went in there. A woman went in before me, and the women were sitting there. And a woman comes in, and she says to Mrs. Buzaglo, you should be happy that you've got another 9 kids. Yoram's mother, she came from Marrakesh in Morocco. And she didn't go to school. And maybe she went to the 3rd grade, and she barely knew how to read and write. But she was a Moroccan Jewish mama. And she had all the wisdom that a Moroccan Jewish mama needs to know to give a good husband and raise wonderful kids. And she said to that woman, show me your 2 hands. He says, what do you mean? Show me your 2 hands. She says, if I take a knife and cut off one of your fingers, now I'm going to say, be happy that you have another 9 fingers? It doesn't work that way. As much as a Jewish mother or Jewish father loves their children, multiply that by 1,000,000 times, and that's how much Hashem loves you. Hashem loves you. Whenever you think life is difficult, you tell yourself 3 words. I'm going to teach you 2 things tonight. The first, Hashem loves me. This is a rescue squad. I once made magnets. Hashem loves me. Put it on a refrigerator, or a group of Emunah beams, my organization. Made magnets, sent it out to people. And a woman in Denver, Colorado, put this on her refrigerator. The day she put it on the refrigerator, her husband did a very bad business deal. She wasn't from Shemayim. And her husband decided he lost a lot of money and he couldn't start over again. And what he was going to do, he'll leave his family set. He's going to take their pickup truck and drive it off some Rocky Mountain cliff and make it look like an accident. And his wife will collect the insurance and this and that. No funeral. Nobody knew he committed suicide, this and that. No drugs, no overdose, no knives, no veins. Ride a car off the cliff. So he's contemplating, and he waits 3 o'clock in the morning while everybody's fat, and he wants to go. He's about to get in the car, but before he goes in the car, he doesn't have to go thirsty. At least he drinks something. He turns on the little night light in the refrigerator, and he sees this magnet on the refrigerator. That day, this Hashem's divine direction. That day, she got it mailed from Ashdod, Israel. She put it on her refrigerator, and he sees, Hashem loves me. That little magnet, and he broke down crying. He said she woke up 6 o'clock in the morning. She heard whimpering. So her husband whimpering it. So what's the matter? He says, I'm going to try it again. I'm not going to even tell you what was the matter. He contemplated suicide. A magnet saved his life. You tell yourself, Hashem loves me. Look in the mirror. Hashem loves me. It can save your life. Because you think Hashem is giving you a rough time. Why is Hashem giving me this health issue? And why Hashem is giving me a financial issue? And why is Hashem giving me a problematic child? And why is Hashem doing this? It's all a war. You're fighting a war. But the only way to get through war is with Emunah. Emunah under fire. And Emunah means 2 things. I can talk to Hashem whenever I want. And Hashem loves me. And it's the real deal. And now I saw this. This saved my life. Could have been. Can you imagine? Kabbalah tells you what happens when the neshama leaves the body. And I'm going to tell it like a modern day parable. I like to keep Torah eye level. When you go up to the heavenly court, they put you on a chair, on a stage, and the room is like a theater, and it's blacked out. And there's a balcony up in the theater. That's where the religious court judges are, the Dayanim Shemala, the Beis Din Shemala, when the heavenly court. And in the audience are your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your rebbes, people that are close to you. And the neshama sits in a chair, and it's like this blinding white light is shining on the neshama, and he can't see what's going on there. The neshama can't see. But behind the neshama is this big screen. Uh-oh. You know what they show on the screen? The story of life. Everything that happened, and all the intimate stuff that they think nobody ever knew about. And here, everybody knows, wow, all the stuff you did behind closed doors, everything, except for what you made tshuva. If you made tshuva for it, that gets erased from the film. That's get wiped out of the film. And that is really, really embarrassing. Really, really embarrassing. And just, when a person does tshuva, tshuva is like physical, just like taking a shower is physical hygiene. Tshuva is spiritual hygiene. When you take the soul and you wash it every day, and it smells good, because a soul with transgressions doesn't have a nice smell to it, and that attracts negative forces. And this is not my words; the words of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That tomorrow night is his yahrzeit. The day after tomorrow night is his yahrzeit, and that's what he writes in the Zohar. Writes in the Zohar. Tshuva keeps us clean. But the second film is even worse. It's even more embarrassing. You know what they show in the second film? They show you what you could have done if you had Emunah. How great you could have been. And instead of wasting time on worry, and wasting time on I'm not good enough, and wasting time on being jealous of the neighbor, and wasting time doing that, you could have got closer to Hashem. And for Hashem, you could have brought all of Brooklyn close to Hashem. Maybe if you had a clear head, you'd make a cure for cancer. You could do great things, the greatest things in the world. This is what we learned. You don't believe it? Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein, look what one person did, what one human being did. The Gemara in Tractate Sanhedrin says that he who saves a life saves an entire world. Well, when a guy that's been a day or two in Jewish outreach, when a guy falls off the derech and he comes back in, it's like a hero's welcome. But when a girl falls off the derech, that's bad news. Because people, especially in New York, what did she do when she was off the derech? Now this, who wants to get close to it? It's like persona non grata. And it's got a rough time. It's much more difficult for a girl who falls off the derech to come back than a guy that falls off the derech comes in. Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein gathered these girls together, that people, even their parents, wiped them out of their lives. You know what Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein would do? People don't even know about it. We were so close. At nights, he would go, not to the Jewish sides of town, to places, I'm talking about like McDonald's and Burger King's, and in parking lots where these girls used to hang out, and they're off the derech, and they did all types of substances, etc., 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 and he brought them back. And sometimes you would bring them back with a good meal or something and a good encouraging word, and he made a school for these girls. And I saw this with my own eyes. I saw what he did, because every time he came in New York, Rabbi Zechariah would pick me up in the car and we'd go and I'd speak to his girls. And he had a school like that for guys. Then he had a second school like that for girls and a second school like that for guys. And he built Avinu Malkeinu. And it was a revolutionary, not only coast to coast in the United States. One time I get a message from his secretary, Rabbi Zechariah wants to meet you in Manchester in the UK. So there's Avinu Malkeinu in the UK. Coast to coast, worldwide. What Avinu Malkeinu? An empire, one person. One person. Okay, Rabbi Zechariah used to say three things. Make it happen. Where did he get the power? Where did he get the power? That's another little story. People don't know he built a ranch in upstate New York for girls. Well, I wasn't born looking like this. I wasn't born. I graduated College of Agriculture, University of Maryland, 1970. Went to Eretz Yisrael. And I did my dream. I had a double dream of being a pioneer farmer and a soldier in Eretz Yisrael, and I did both. I went for it. I had my goals and went for it. Okay, so that's how I knew a few things about animals and agriculture. So a couple years ago when I was in New York, and we spent the day together, I was talking to the girls in the school. I saw, you can't believe these girls. There are girls in the school. They were doing drugs behind a Burger King with Puerto Rican guys that are now Rebbitzins in Beit Shemesh. Their husbands are in Koilel, and their kids are in Cheder, and it's Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein saved it. If you decide that what you want to do, and then people know that, no, I'm toning it down. I could do a whole lesson just about what he did. You can change the world. But you know why you don't change the world? Because you don't believe in yourself. And that's Emunah too. To have Emunah means you have to believe in yourself, not just to believe in Hashem. Because how can you believe in yourself? You cannot believe in yourself without believing in Hashem. Because when you believe in Hashem, you know that Hashem made me special. Hashem gave you a mission on earth that nobody else could do. You don't believe in yourself. You can see, this morning I had the privilege, does anybody know Mendy Rosenberg, Mendy and Malky Rosenberg in Flatbush? Yes. Mendy's got Lou Gehrig's disease, okay? A couple years ago we did a shur in Flatbush, one of the biggest shurim we had in our Mendy, the Emunah, that all the Emunah we spread should be Mendy. Back then, 10 years ago, the doctors gave Mendy 6 months. The first thing I did when I got off the plane this morning, I just came in this morning from Eretz Yisrael, I went to visit Mendy. He's still with us. His Emunah is off the charts. It's Lou Gehrig's. Everything from the neck down doesn't work. He can't speak. He communicates with this electrode, and he moves his eyes that puts a message. It's unbelievable technology. So, Emunah, you could do whatever you want. Emunah defies. Why? Nature is below the stars. Emunah is above nature. Miracles above nature. Emunah equals miracles. So if you decide you want bad enough, I want to change the Jewish world, I want to change the world, you could do it. Because you believe in yourself and believe that Hashem gives you the power, and Hashem didn't put you here for nothing, and Hashem can do whatever He wants, and He can help you do whatever you want. And especially when it's the good of making the world a better place. This was Reb Zechariah. Reb Zechariah used to say, make it happen. He says to me one trip, Lazer, what do you think about me building a remedial horse farm for girls, get them out of nature, get them out of the city, get them out of the schmutz of the city, bring them out there, animals. I said, Rabbi Zechariah, that's not a new idea. He said, what do you mean? I said, there's such a thing as remedial horseback riding. You take kids that have ADD, all types of problems, the kids that have post-trauma, and teach them how to ride horses and teach them how to take care of horses. And there's a magic with horses. It's not a magic with horses. They're neshamas of Chazaq trapped in horses. No, my great-grandfather was a stoner chassid. He was a blacksmith, and he loved horses. He was a hidden tzaddik. His Rebbe, the Yanuka, is stolen. Rebbe Yisrael is stolen. His Rebbe, he loved horses. He loved horses. Why? If you see a horse, you pull an apple out, give the horse an apple to eat. Because there were neshamas in there. Trapped neshamas. One day, the Agudas Yisrael convention in Warsaw, the old giants of the generation were there. The Ger Rebbe, the Imre Emes, and Chafetz Chaim, and Ozer Grudzinsky, Chaim Ozer, all the greats of the world. The stoner Rebbe comes, and he comes in a carriage, horse, and he gets off, and he feeds a horse an apple. Well, this young Koilo guy saw it. Here's all these big things, and here's this Rebbe comes. They say, this is a great Rebbe. And he's whispering something in the horse's ear, and he's feeding an apple. He says, what kind of strange behavior is that? So the Rebbe, he knew what this guy's thinking. So he calls him over in Yiddish, says, Yunga Manchka, come here. Says, hey, young man, come here. He says, do you know what breed this horse is? Is it a Belgian or a quarter horse? He says, well, I don't know. He says, do you know how old this horse is? He says, no, I don't know. He says, do you know what this, a workhorse or a pleasure horse? He says, no, I don't know. And the young guy says, Rebbe, what do you want from me? I don't know anything about horses. He says, if you know nothing about horses, you think you know about tzaddikim? It doesn't work that way. Okay. Yeah, it's in Yiddish, it sounds a lot stronger. Weiß gar nicht from the Feld, was weißt du vom Tzaddikim? Okay. In a horse, there's something about a neshama of a horse that when a person gives to a horse appreciates it. So they have a readable horseback riding. I told Rebbe Chaim, it's a wonderful idea. And he did it. He did it. He didn't say people are going to think I'm Meshiggah, just like they thought the Stolner Rebbe, the Yanuka Stolner, was crazy. He did it. He saved young girls. He brought miserable young girls that went home happy. A summer on the horse farm, he brought them up, he sent them home. It wasn't the same girl he sent home that he brought there. He did so many revolutionary things, and his favorite expression was, make it happen. And in his loving memory, I add Emunah to make it happen and say, beloved brothers and sisters. And I mean beloved. It's a sprach, beloved. No, it's true. It's not my word, the Torah. Torah says, Bonim atem l'Shem Elokechem. You're all beloved sons and daughters of Hashem. So if I am a son of Hashem, and you're a son of Hashem, and you're a daughter of Hashem, you don't need a PhD in genealogy to know we're brother and sister. And that's the only way to be Mekayim v'afta le'acha kamocha. Love your neighbors yourself. When you realize that we're all one. But if a person doesn't have Emunah, and a person doesn't believe that that's a son of Hashem and that's a daughter of Hashem, and he looks at the body, but he's not got his Pierre Cardin on, and she doesn't have her Estee Lauder on, or whatever it is, and that's the way we judge people, by chitzonius. You know what happens to the exterior of a person 48 hours after the neshama leaves? It can't get near. It better be in the ground fast. But neshama, we're running so much to develop our bodies. What kind of, our 22-inch biceps, and the clothes we wear, and the shaita we wear, the hairdo, the makeup, the this and that, the car we drive. What about the neshama? What about vitamin E for the neshama? Your car is not going to get you through the war. Your shaitel is not going to get you through the war. Only Emunah is going to get you safely to the other side. And this is what Rebbe Nachman said, that the whole world is a narrow bridge, and the important thing is not to be afraid. And the only way not to be afraid is to know what King David said in the most famous sonnet ever in it, that all of humanity says it. Even the Goyim have at their funerals, Psalm 23. Gam ki elech begeitz al-moves lo irara ki ata imadi. Although I walk in the valley of death, I shall not fear, for you are with me. It is the real deal. And one thing, Hashem enabled me, gave me a free gift. See the power of Emunah. I had to work for lots of years to earn it on my own. But in Beirut, in 1982, and I was in a nasty crossfire. A nasty crossfire. We were on a mission with a handful of Israeli commandos that had to do something in downtown Beirut. And the mission got botched. And all of a sudden, the sky opened up. And Chicken Little didn't have anywhere to go. And there was, I don't want to go into all the dirty details where it went from, but a crossfire. And the guys in our unit started getting hit. And it was bad. And my radio man took a piece of shrapnel this big, and it cut his thigh open like a grapefruit. And another guy got split in half. I don't want to go into the graphic. It's too difficult. It's the worst day in my life. Worst day in my life. I don't know what came out inside of me. Hashem, get me out of here. I never davened. I grew up in a conservative family that made me a bar mitzvah in Silver Spring, Maryland, University of Maryland. And we had Friday night dinner, and we had matzah on Pesach and a Pesach Seder, and we had latkes and dreidel on Hanukkah. And that was my Judaism. That was Judaism at Silver Spring then. Okay. And our conservative rabbi was really an Orthodox rabbi. He was a Holocaust survivor from France. And he became rabbi at conservative shul to Parnassa. It was a way to make a living. Okay, he was a nice guy and nice people. And this is conservative Judaism back in the 1950s was, I think, stronger than modern Orthodox now. But because they have the generations get weaker. except for the Emunah generation. The Emunah generations get stronger, but the other generations get weaker. A Katyusha rocket hits 400 meters. You know what it is when a Katyusha rocket hits 400 meters from you? It feels like your eardrums are, that's it. Then the next one hits 200 meters from you. You see that they know where we are. They're honing in on us. They know where we are in downtown Beirut, and it hits 200 meters. When a Katyusha rocket hits 200 meters, you feel like there's an electric shock from your brain that shudders inside your skull down to your feet. Can't even begin to describe that. The next one hit 100 meters. When a Katyusha rocket hits 100 meters from you, you could feel all your innards like they're about to explode. You could feel where your stomach is, you could feel where your liver is, you could feel your spleen and your gallbladder. They all yell, I'm here, I'm here. You feel these different organs popping out. You don't feel, you don't know where your kidneys, your spleen, your gallbladder is. Oh, when a Katyusha rocket hits 100 meters. When a Katyusha rocket hits 40 meters, Yitgadal v'yitgadash merabah. Anyone in a 40-meter radius. Well, the way they were honing in us, that's just the artillery fire. That's not without the sniper fire. The other. And Lazer looked at the watch, and there's 45 seconds to go. Like King David in the cul-de-sac. What do? No way to go, no way to retreat, no way to direction. Can't go anywhere. And I leaned down behind a car in a street in Beirut, and I take out a tourniquet to stop my radio guy's thigh from bleeding, otherwise he's going to bleed to death. And he's in panic. Lazer, don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere. Rafi, I'm right here with you. And I don't know what to do. And then there's a spurt of machine gun fire. It goes through the car's windows. And I caught a piece of glass, whoosh, cut my eye open like a grapefruit. And at first I thought I lost the eye. That's it. But I figured, okay, still got one good eye, got two good arms. I could keep on firing, keep on going. But I couldn't see out of that eye. Now we're down about, it's all happening very fast. Maybe 25, 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, I don't know. And there's nowhere to go. And I said, Hashem, get me out of here. I don't know where it came from. I surprised myself. You never talked to Hashem, you never prayed. Hashem, get me out of here. I had an answer in my brain. Not an answer you can hear with your ears, but an answer in your brain, somewhere in the neshama, in the brain. And the voice I heard in my head, okay, Lazer, I'm going to get you out of here, but you're going to change your life. I said, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. One thing, either I'm going crazy or it's real. And one thing, I was never, in my unit, guys were big and strong, and I said we had a very special unit, and I was the guy with the willpower. I was the little guy, the light guy, the guy that was 140 pounds soaking wet, like the cat, but always level-headed. And I didn't think I was going crazy, but I might have been going crazy. So it's a 50-50 chance. Either the voice is real or Lazer's lost it. Okay, enough pressure. There's such things under pressure that you lose it. You can't, the fuse blow. The fuses in your brain blow. You can't handle the pressure. And this has all happened in a small amount of seconds. You have to understand, Emunah is above time. Hashem is above time. I could write a book about this, and it would take you, a 350-page book about it. Take you a long time to read, but it's all a matter of seconds. Above time. And I said, nobody could make up words to that. And then it came back again, and it said, Lazer Foil, I'm going to get you out of here. I said, what, Lazer Foil? Nobody knows my full name. The only time I ever heard that was at a bar mitzvah, and Rabbi Brandress at the Har Zion Conservative Shul in Silver Spring, Maryland, called me up to Aliyah, Yamod, Eliezer Foil ben Yaakov. I said, who in the middle of Beirut knows Eliezer Foil? I never went by that name. I never went that back. I had one name, Lazer, that's it. Eliezer Foil? Never went by that name. Lazer. Who knows that? And then I made a little commitment to the voice and to myself. I said, I don't know if this is real or not, but if it is, you got a deal. The most inexplicable series of miracles happened, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. I came out alive. With another 7 of my friends. Somebody came out bloody a little bit. 4 did not make it. 4 did not make it. Oh, the story's not over. My 7 friends, the 8 of us that came out alive, Lazer sold his farm and went to Yerushalayim to learn first in Stolner Yeshiva, then Eshet Torah, or Noach Weinberg. The other guys, they didn't smell the coffee. And they went back to the old way of life. Hashem waited for them, Hashem waited for them, Hashem waited for them. One had a head-on car collision, that's it. One had Yedamachla, had the bad, nasty big C, we don't like to say that word, and finished. One had. The only one that's alive today with me is my commander, who stayed the same. He was religious before the war. He stayed the same after war, like what they call national religious. But he also paid a price. He had this gorgeous farm in Gush Katif. You ever heard of Gush Katif? Okay. He lost everything. Gorgeous home, a big villa and greenhouses and everything. That's it. Hashem does miracles for us, but we have to realize that the miracles have a price tag. You go to a restaurant, you have to pay the bill. We have to pay the bills. Our bill is Emunah, getting close to Hashem, saying thank you to Hashem, doing Hashem's work. Hashem, what can I do? Remember what Robert Kennedy, you're too young to remember John Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was president. John F. Kennedy got assassinated. I was 11 years old in Washington, D.C. I remember that. I was homesick. I had the flu, and Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated John Kennedy. There was a Bay of Pigs, and it was almost war, and people in Silver Spring were digging bomb shelters in the backyard. Talking about 1960. In 1960, I was 11 years old. That's when John F. Kennedy says, ask not what your country could do for you. Ask what you could do for your country. We see Hashem gives us every single heartbeat. If this heartbeat was strong as a stethoscope, and I put it to my heart, you ever heard a heartbeat, really what it does? It goes like this. Yud-K, Vav-K, Yud-K, Vav-K, Yud-K, Vav-K. That's Hashem personally beating your heart. Hashem decided that's Hashem, nobody else. Nobody had anybody plugged into a generator, plugged into it. That's Hashem doing it personally. It's only Hashem. Ein od milvado. The 3 words are nothing but Hashem. It's all Hashem. And people think, and one thing that makes me crazy in Brooklyn, Shidduchim. The Shidduchim resume. And the Shidduchim resume, it's all lies. The Shadchanim are all lies. It's all garbage. You know where you want to find a good Shidduch? You do one thing, listen to Lazer, you'll find the best guy in the world, you'll find the best girl in the world. Look for a good heart. People want money, and they want the spitz in the mirror yeshiva, and they want this, and they want that. Is a guy going to respect his wife? Is she going to respect her husband? She going to be a good mother? Oh, no, she's so... Boom. That's it, there you go. I was waiting for the Yeser to come. Last time I was in Baltimore, I blew 7 microphones. In Milwaukee, 3 speaker systems. Thank you. Now we know. Yeah, Robbie, he's been hiding. You did a good job. Maybe he's scared of Robbie. He's scared of Chazaq because they're strong. Okay, but now it's... all right, you see? Haikal lo lipachedka. The important thing, don't be afraid at all. That's what Rabbi Nachman tells us. So we got to have... That's our connection with Hashem, and to believe Hashem, and thank Hashem. So say 3 things we got to remember. And if you don't remember, write this down. Hashem loves me. There's another 3 words. That's Ein Od Milvado. There's nothing but Hashem. But who's that Hashem that there's nothing but Him? That's our first principle of Emunah. He alone did, does, and will do everything. And who's that he alone does, though? Who is that? Who's that entity? That's my Tata in Himmel. That's my Father in heaven. Oh, yeah? You mean the one that does everything is my Father? Yes, and he loves me more than a she-bear loves her cubs. And certainly more than a Yiddish mama loves her kids. As much as she loves her kids, Hashem loves me more. Because Hashem made me unique. My thumbprint shows my uniqueness. Nobody has my thumbprint. Nobody has my neshama. I can only do things. Hashem put each one of us on earth to do what we learn from Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein, that you could do whatever you want. And I'm telling you, when I stop to think, the second movie I told you about, what you could have done, suppose Hashem didn't send Lazer Brody into the IDF, into war, into combat. Lazer Brody could have still been in Miami on his mountaintop farm, raising turkeys and plums. Oh, he had raised great turkeys, had a good reputation, the best peaches in northern Israel. And they ask an Israeli turkey farmer, "Excuse me, sir, you've been raising turkeys for 45 years. Turkeys are known to be a dumb bird. That doesn't affect your brain?" He says, "La la 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 la." I go up, Rabbi Zachariah, he could go up, he could be proud of that second movie because he did what he was supposed to do. Let me tell you something about Rabbi Zachariah. Rabbi Zachariah had a little bit of silver spoon. His father was a successful businessman. He had a lot of money, had a lot of business, big business. Rabbi Zachariah, he didn't need money for anybody. Everything out of his own pocket, out of his own pocket. Well, he could have continued. Have a New York guy, okay, he was going to have a chavrusa for an hour between Mencha and Mariv and continue to develop his business. Not him. He looked around, and what does Hashem need? Not ask what Hashem could do for me, ask what I could do for Hashem. And he saw the girls in New York City. Wow, he said, what are we chasing after Bali Chuvas for? What are you looking for that? When our own geborene kinder, our own born in the program kids are going off the derech. He says, somebody got to do something. And he picked up his weapon and he started doing something. And he picked up one girl and two girls. It became an empire. An empire. This is the power of one person. If I would have gone up there, and Baruch Hashem, the people know what I do, I don't have to say what I do. Go around the world, and the books that Hashem enabled me to write and translate. By the way, all the books there are the books that I've written the last 3 years. One of the things that I had to go on my own, and already 3.5 years, and not with Rabbi Arush, because I just had to do my own thing. I couldn't do the Rav thing. I had to do my own mission. And 2 days ago was my 73rd birthday. On Pesach Sheni. And I say, Hashem, Amen, Amen, Hashem, I'm a soldier in your army. I don't have time to get old. Hashem, I don't have time to get out of shape. You got to keep me in shape to do what I'm doing. Combat soldier, but in shape. Because this is a war. Emunah under fire. This is a war. Okay? So imagine if Lazer wasn't in the First Lebanon War, 1982, and still be growing, and they showed me, come to Olam Haba, look, I grew these nice peaches and these nice plums, and every once in a while I gave a box of plums to a poor family, and they said, look what you could have done! And they showed these forim and in the Neshamas said this, and look what you could have done. Don't go there. Don't wait for a physical war. Don't wait to be a Ukrainian Jew in Mariupol for the wake-up call. It's not hunky-dory. Look around what needs to be done. And it's not a great big thing. You know what you could do? A woman came to me this week in Eretz Yisrael, and she says, Rabbi, I'm unfulfilled. What do you mean you're unfulfilled? You got a great husband. He's a Talmud Chacham. You keep him in Torah. You got great kids. Okay, do it. But I don't feel fulfilled. Okay, I'll tell you what. You don't feel fulfilled? Take Divine Direction. It's a brand new book, and Baruch Hashem, thank you Hashem, People are hungry for it because people don't know who Hashem is, what Hashem is in life, a personal involvement that Hashem has in your life every moment of the day. And it's based on the teachings of Baal Shem Tov. You heard Fried's song about the leaf, the leaf covered the worm, that the worm was about to dry out in the sun. Okay, that's one of the stories in the book. But Hashem is involved in a worm and a leaf. Which leaf falls on a tree and is going to go in the wind in the meadow, and Hashem sends a wind, and Hashem takes all of creation in order to save the life of a worm. What's Hashem going to do to save the life of a young lady, the spiritual life, who's having a spiritual crisis in Brooklyn? What's Hashem going to do to save a young man? Hashem brings Reb Moshe, and Hashem brings BJX and builds this whole thing, and Reb Moshe doesn't even have, he's got no idea what he's doing. Okay, because Hashem's got this one neshama who also doesn't know the difference between a bagel and a ball game. Like Bomer. And bringing up Moshe and all this saying, this beautiful alum, the one world, there should be big success here, everything you do. For one young guy. For one young guy. The rest is all profit. Hashem will change the entire order of creation so that one Jewish kid from Cleveland can learn what the word Emunah means. And Hashem is such a loving Father. If we have difficulties in life, the difficulties mean, my beloved son, my beloved daughter, you haven't had the sense to come close to me on your own accord, and that's not being frum. When I was in college, I had a motorcycle. It was a frum motorcycle. Every time I put my hand on the throttle, it went frum, frum. It's a matter of being Emunah, believing in Hashem, believing in myself. So one, Hashem loves me. Tell yourself, Hashem loves me. And the second, Hashem created me with the power to accomplish whatever I can. These are two things I want to tell yourself. Hashem loves you. Hashem loves me. Hashem loves you. And we all have the power to do whatever we want. And the reason we don't do it is for two reasons. We don't have Emunah, and we don't have the desire. If you have the Emunah and you have the desire, and my proof, in loving memory of Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein, what all the good he did, and he left a gap. This was such a shock to Judaism, such a shock. People asked when I eulogized him, I said, what do we lose? And here you got this clean-shaven guy. People thought he was a businessman. A businessman, in my humble opinion, I know a lot of rabbis around the world, and I know a lot of outreach. All the major players in outreach, and I know a lot of Jewish speakers. Appear with them, speak to them. If they ask for the Lazer Brody ratings, Rabbi Zachariah Wallerstein, Jewish speaker #1 in the world, Jewish educator #1 in the world, Jewish outreach rabbi #1 in the world. That's what they call in the hockey the triple crown. Okay, a hat trick. He was all three. And Hashem took him away. That's a generation. We cannot, in his loving memory, we have to continue. And we continue his legacy by doing what we can. First of all, if we don't have the $100 in our own pocket, we can't lend it. Strengthening our Emunah. Strengthening the Emunah of our spouses and our children. And then strengthening on the outside. No matter what you're doing. If you're a teacher, you're an accountant, you're you're a shoe salesman, whatever you do, you could do with Emunah. You could put on to try shoes. Okay, the person don't buy. Okay, Hashem should help you find the right pair of shoes. If it's by me, by my competitor, that's fine. It's all. He deserves a living too. You deserve the best pair of shoes. That's Emunah. Guy's not worried he's trying to convince him the power to buy shoes from him. He knows he's going to get his income from Hashem. See that? Look at over and be talking. We do whatever we do. We bring ourselves closer to Hashem, and by doing that, we bring the whole world closer to Hashem. And once again, I believe that Hashem loves me, and Hashem enables me to fulfill my dreams. Hashem gives me the power to fulfill my dreams. That's Hashem, because He put me here on earth, and He didn't put me here on earth nothing. That's the two basic things. Don't become more frum. Keep doing what you're doing. Try to get closer to Hashem. Emunah, there's no limit to Emunah. No limit to Emunah. The Torah says, Shuvu ad Hashem Elokecha. But Shuv means come back. It's not what people say, tshuva. Hashem doesn't need you to have bruises on your chest. Oy, 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 oy. People make tshuva, I don't understand this. Oy, 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 tshuva. When somebody gets close to Hashem, it should be a smile. I said, what's the person? Oh, you did show. Don't need to lament. We lament one day a year. We lament on Tisha B'Av. And we have a little bit of lamentation during the Omer. We don't make chasas, we don't have music, okay, during the Omer. But tshuva is with happiness. Tshuva means getting closer to Hashem, coming back to Hashem. Coming back. And it's what Hashem says, Shuvu. Shuvu alai bani v'ashuvu alechem. You come to me and I'll come to you. I'm going to teach you now 1/3. Do you remember Hashem loves me? You remember Hashem lets me do whatever I can. I'm going to teach you 1/3 important lesson. That when I call out Hashem's name, Hashem answers me. And the reason you think Hashem didn't answer is that you didn't come sincerely, or you didn't talk to Hashem right, or you make a demand of Hashem, or you hold the stopwatch at Hashem. Hashem, take this disease away from me. Hashem, give me money. Hashem, do that. That's what the Zohar says, hav. Hav in Aramaic means give. And it sounds like a dog barking. We don't talk to a beloved Father in heaven like a dog barking. Hashem, I've got this difficulty in life. Hashem, I need you. Oh, Hashem says, you need me? You've never invited me in your life before. You invite me in your life, I'm there. I'm right there. You think Hashem's not with it? Yeah, Hashem says, you just call my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. You've got Hashem, do. You've got Hashem. Yeah, that's it. You just call His name. But people have problems because they don't call Hashem. I'll finish with one little story in the beginning of Trail to Tranquility. This is right in the beginning of Trail to Tranquility. And this explains to you what Emunah is all about, what we talked about all night. And if anybody has any questions, they welcome to ask you, how are we doing on time? I haven't paid attention to the clock. Have time to answer a few questions? No? Okay. No time. Okay, if you have a short question you want to ask me, you can ask me. I'll be in the back. I'll be happy to sign books for you. Feel free. Those books, I guarantee you'll enjoy them because they're eye level. Things that even non-Jews read them and understand them. Even more so a Jew. Person's walking down the street and he goes into a shoemaker. He's got in a bag a pair of shoes that need repair. And he goes in and he gives the shoemaker, he says, I need to do a pair of shoes. Okay, no problem. This and that. And the shoemaker sees that he's got a kippah on his head. And he says, were you religious? He says, I try my best to be an observant Jew. He says, what do you mean? How can you say there's a Hashem in the world? If there's a Hashem in the world, then why is there wars? And why is there sickness? And why there's no Hashem in the world? Hashem in the world, why was there a Holocaust? There couldn't have been a Holocaust without Hashem. All these questions, he said, there can't be a Hashem in the world. Because if Hashem in the world, then, the Bible. Okay, the guy didn't want to talk. But he says, look, please, sir, I don't want to talk religion. I don't want to talk politics. When my shoes, I can pick them up. He says, I'm okay. And he goes out. And he comes back in after a minute. And he says, excuse me, sir, you mind coming to the door of your shop? He says, what do you want? I want you to see something. Outside of his shop was a barefoot beggar. A barefoot beggar. Huh. He says, you're not real. You're an imposter. There can't be shoemakers in the world. He said, what do you mean there can't be shoemakers? Because if they make shoemakers in the world, there wouldn't be people with torn soles and bare feet and this and that. Look at the guy. The guy's his feet are sticking out. He's got torn soles. I don't believe in shoemakers. If you were shoemakers in the world, he wouldn't have a torn sole. So the shoemaker says to him, you know why he's got a torn sole? Because he doesn't come to me. And the observant guy says, that's why you got a torn sole, because you don't come to him. That's the very thing. People have torn souls because they don't come to Hashem. Hashem is the father of the soul, the cobbler of the soul. With everything, you talk to Hashem in your own language for a minute a day, 5 minutes a day. Don't wait to have a problem. Thank Hashem that you wake up in the morning. Thank Hashem. It's not to be taken for granted to have a brand new day. And anybody that's ever had a life expectancy of 30, 40 seconds appreciates every second, every new morning in life. There's so much that I want to give you, and so much that I want everybody to be close to Hashem. I want everybody to be successful. I want to bless you all, that whoever needs a good income should have a good income. Who never needs a refuah shlema, and a personal blessing for everyone. Whoever needs a shidduch, a good soulmate, have a good soulmate. Whoever needs shalom bayit, good shalom bayit. Whoever needs wonderful kids, whoever needs children should have children, wonderful children. All your heart's wishes for the very best, with limitless Emunah and Mashiach Tzidkenu speed in our days. Amen.